Listen, Claressa Shields issuing a challenge to LAILA Ali should really come as no surprise at this point, man. This hasn't only been brewing for some years now, but one thing everyone knows, not only in boxing, not only in business, but life in general is timing is everything. And it's really no secret that women's boxing is evolving to the point where soon enough the impact could be comparable to women's wrestling. Because make no mistake about it, after Jake Paul's MVP fight card, it's not hard to tell why Claressa is making it her business to rush into a bout with LAILA Ali. I mean, for starters, whether people like to admit it or not, Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor definitely drew in a massive number of eyes for their last 3 fights, even if the third fight was a dud with Amanda Serrano swinging that air and getting her Billy Blanks tie bow on. As someone who is half Puerto Rican and who was rooting for Serrano, I hate to break it to all you Serrano fans, but this was no robbery. She lost. She definitely lost this third one. But regardless, everyone tuned into that event, and being that Shields wasn't on that card, we all know she isn't too crazy about being singled out when she's clearly the face of women's boxing. So when you got an event being headlined by Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano with a fight card that consisted of prominent names and fresh faces like Alicia Baumgardner, Savannah Marshall, Sugar Neeks, it's not hard to tell that Shields was ultimately going to feel some type of way about it. And if her tweet after the event wasn't a clear indication of that, her basically calling LAILA Ali's bluff just a week removed from that card should be more than enough proof of that. See, what a lot of folks gotta realize is Claressa has went on record to rant about how she feels blackballed by the sport of boxing. She's not a fan of Serrano and Taylor getting all this praise while all her accolades and accomplishments seem to be overlooked or downplayed and pushed to the curb. And it's gotten to the point where many fans like myself are fed up with Claressa's attitude. You know, it's almost like she never has anything positive to say about any of the other women fighters, because just as soon as she's throwing peace signs and showing love, she quickly finds herself another reason to rant about how she's the GOAT and how there's this conspiracy to single her out. Now, does she have an argument or a point? Maybe. I'm not going to sit here and act like everything Shields has done for women's boxing hasn't fell by the wayside as of late. However, her and her fans have to understand that she isn't always going to be the main character. It's not always going to be about her, and other women boxers do have a right to handle their business and get to the bag. They don't necessarily have to bow down to her. So every time she acts messy, narcissistic, or seems to be the final boss of all prima donnas, the response from people like myself and others will be just as negative as the vibe she creates. Now, with all that being said, Shields legitimately challenging and calling out LAILA Ali is one of, if not the smartest move Claressa has made in her professional career thus far. Yeah, I said it. I actually like this, and I'm actually rooting for this bout to happen. And I'll tell you why. 1, LAILA Ali has definitely threw shade towards Claressa on numerous occasions, so it's well reciprocated at this point. 2, the self-proclaimed and proven greatest woman of all time versus the greatest of all time's daughter is as marquee and as blockbuster as it can get. And 3, I don't see why Claressa Shields and LAILA Ali shouldn't check a bag with the payday they will receive from something as big as this. Say what you will about it being Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson 2.0, because last time I checked, Jake Paul is a YouTuber that many of you believe doesn't belong in the sport of boxing. He's also the same guy many of you tuned in and believe will lose to Tyson. He's also the guy that just provided this MVP fight card for women's boxing. So why can't Shields capitalize on the opportunity to introduce herself to the casual fan base with all the buzz this can and will generate amongst mainstream media? I mean, after all, what better way to do that than to face Muhammad Ali's daughter, a former champion and women's boxer who set herself apart from the rest during her own era. Yeah, I know LAILA's 47 years old. I know she hasn't had a fight since 2007 or whatever year it was. And of course, she's gonna get dragged all over the ring by Shields, but she will still be making the 15 to 20 million that she requested to even think about making a return to the ring. And let's face it, which active women's fighter is gonna be beating Claressa Shields anytime soon? Don't worry, I'll wait. When you find out who that is, I'm sure we can talk about it. In the meantime though, Shields vs. Ali is the topic at hand, and if LAILA really does consider it, it could very well be on the horizon soon enough. Just as long as that 15 million is for real. Because even though Claressa and her manager say they have the 15 million, what folks gotta realize is There is no legitimate proof of that, and before we assume that that novelty check from that video is enough proof, please take into consideration just what a novelty check is. A novelty check is pretty much a giant template of what the real check is supposed to look like. It's not the real thing, it cannot be cashed. I would say it's nothing more than just a replica, but it's not even that. And as this article by the Bloody Elbow pointed out, the bank nor the address for that bank exists, meaning it was just there for show. Now, before people jump the gun and assume Claressa's clout chasing Laila Ali, we have to take into consideration that Win Records could very well have the fight purse organized as stated in the video. Of course, it's going to be hard to convince people that Shields, her manager, and this record label have put together the money and are working on a venue for the actual bout. I mean, when there was no other boxing personnel in the room other than Shields and her manager, it's going to be hard to ignore the fact that this could just be bait to see if Laila Ali's serious about returning for that amount of money. Guess we'll just have to see how this one plays out. I honestly don't think Laila Ali will do it, but hey man, kudos to Shields for trying. Pop off.